Good evening and welcome back to Prime of Midlife. And happy Easter to everybody. I hope you've had a good day. We certainly have. We've had a bit of a running around doing stuff and a bit of a rest. So tonight we're talking how the other half do things. Because I got a bit of a shock, a bit of a culture shock really, when I read this article. So what I want to do is just ask you a few questions and then tell you what I found out and just see how your brain goes from there. So, as you know, there's a lot of us struggling just now. And one of the things that I think can be most difficult for people is when they are buying something that they've sort of been brand loyal to. Do you know, like for us, for a while, it's not anymore, but for a while it was Hellman's mayonnaise and Heinz tomato ketchup. That was, do you know, I wasn't going anywhere else apart from those two. Um, so that was an absolute, do you know, that's just what we got every single time. Tea bags were Tetley, not so much now. So there's a lot of people like Kathleen and I. We're both Coke and Diet Coke. We don't do Pepsi. There's other people are the other way about. Um, so little things like that, even your cat or your dog can be picky about brands of food. Um, even your breakfast cereal. So that can be quite, especially in times of, cost of living crisis type thing, where we're watching every penny. You want to be able to possibly change brands, change manufacturers, etc., if you can find it cheaper elsewhere. However, that's not much good if you go in and your other half's like, that's not the same, I don't like that, I don't want that. Then you've just wasted whatever money you've spent on the other one. So I think ages ago I had thought of that, and one of my things, I think I did a bit of a video probably about a year ago now, where I'd said, if you've got kids or grandkids, they're going to need to be less picky if they're picky eaters. Or if you have any picky eaters, as in your partner, your brother, husband, wife, cousin, sister, aunt, whatever, or sisters, cousins, and aunts, Gilbert and Sullivan, then they're going to have to change the way they're doing things. So I had that all set out in my head. We're all going to, we'll look at changing brand. And then I read this article in the Times today online. Now, they're talking about companies increasing prices. And what they're saying is that what's happening is the companies are using a legitimate excuse to hike the costs, like, it's costing us more from the farmers because the fertilizer's costing them more, because the diesel's costing them more. So, it's costing us more. We have to pay the farmers more. We have to pay them a decent amount of money. And we all go, well, of course, because poor farmers just now with the price rises. But what happens is the 10 pence that they give to the farmers, they charge us 30 pence extra. They don't just cover the extra costs. It's because they know we're willing to pay, they will pay more. And investors, like hedge funds and shares companies and whatever on earth it is that they're called, but these money managers, this is the new thing on the horizon. Because what they're thinking, whereas I would have thought, in my innocence, I'd have thought, well, where do you invest your money when it's a cost of living crisis? Well, you invest it into somewhere that's helping the people who are struggling. Oh, absolutely not. You invest it in something that is making the people struggle even more. You invest it in companies where there is very, very strong brand loyalty. You invest it in Pepsi or Cola or McDonald's or Nestle, the ones that make dog food and cereal and cold drinks, even Diageo, because they make branded whiskies and vodkas and everything Guinness. Because best in the world, there isn't particularly anything like Guinness. There's impersonators, but Guinness is Guinness. Just like Coke is Coke. It's like when I lived in London, I could buy any bottled water. There's not one of them tasted like my water from home apart from Highland Spring, because it's just down the road. Doesn't matter what the water was. Some of them were drinkable, some of them were not. But for me, if I was buying drinking water, bottled water, it had to be Highland Spring, because anything else wasn't like drinking water like I did when I was a kid. And this brand loyalty, this is where people are investing. This is where they're looking to make their money, because they know that parents will go without to give their kids the brand they want. They know that grown-ups will go without one thing to make sure they can have that other brand. They know that pet owners will cut their own food down to make sure that their cat or dog eats properly. And for me, the phrase that's come into my head is they're just perpetuating the misery. They're making money out of the fact that people cannot afford to eat properly, or that people are robbing Peter to pay Paul. They are making money out of the fact that it doesn't matter how tough it gets, the last thing to go is going to be brand loyalty. And I am very, very irked about that, I have to say. But this article, yeah, I mean, it's not even things like that. I mean, you've got things like Sage Payroll. Companies are still going to use Sage Payroll because that's what their payroll's on. Microsoft 365, I use it all the time at work. I would have conniptions if the boss suddenly walked in and said, we're not using that. Utter conniptions. I've got everything on that. So, yeah. And I mean, the wee phrase that I've written down here is, there may potentially be a recession around the corner, but companies with pricing power will still profit. And they have the power to keep the prices up. So that is basically where we are just now, is it doesn't matter why I ever thought it would, why I ever thought that hedge fund managers or company directors of, multinational conglomerates, why I ever thought they would think of anything as ridiculous as everyday people, I do not know. But it just, it's one of those when it's just like hit me between the eyeballs with an anvil. Just how disposable we are. Just how much we're ones and zeros. We're just numbers on a page. And I am irked. So, when I get this irked, I'm not buying that again. I'm just not. That'll be the last time I buy Heinz. It'll be the last time I buy Hellmann's. It'll be the last time I buy whatever else I can stop buying. I will stop being a brand person, because there's very few things that I cannot change. There will be some way I can change it, because I object to them profiteering off of people's misery. So yeah, that's my thought for today. Eatings today we're not going to do tonight. I'm going to look at that tomorrow, because it's just all a big mess. But I will put a video up about it tomorrow. So yeah, apart from that, I hope you have a fabulous Easter. I hope you've eaten way too much chocolate or cakes or anything and just had a nice relaxful day. You take care. Catch you later.